Welcome back to the Arcopia Show. I hope that I sound all right for this one, but I have a cold, and everyone in my household has a cold. And actually, the past few months, either one or all five of us, and it just kind of switched around, has got one cold or another cold, whether that's head cold, sore throat, cough, and just trying to function with three little kids. Man, it's tough, but I'm only telling you this because it's going to fit into what I'm talking about. Today's topic is psychological warfare and everything that you need to know about that. So if you are the same ilk as me and you're listening to this podcast, you're probably have the same thought process and same mentality as me. Otherwise, you wouldn't be listening. And I expect, again, I put out this information, and I don't expect to ever go viral or be popular because it's such a small minority of people. Maybe you're stressed out all the time. Maybe you're feeling worn out, burnt out. It's hard to make decisions. You're frozen, or part of what I'm going to talk about is called the fight or flight mechanism, and there's actually more F's in that fight or flight. But maybe you are burnt out, tired, giving in to some things, stressed, and it's chronic stress, but they are doing that to you on purpose in many cases. Now, to give the stupidity of the system the benefit of the doubt, part of it might not be insidious. They've like read Sun Tzu Art of War and want to keep you in a fight or flight response to weaken you and then take you out. But some of it might just be pure stupidity and bloated bureaucracy, and I think it is part of it. So if you have a government bureaucrat that had their cubicle at their desk and they go to work and send a bunch of emails, go to useless meetings, and every idea that pops in their silly little head, they try to implement that over months and years of meetings, and it actually interferes with any progress, and it makes it stressful for the people in the public sector actually doing any work, and it makes it stressful for the people in the private sector, the regulators making new policies and regulations and new things, and you have to keep track of. So all these government workers are bureaucrats try to rationalize their own existence. So it takes a special breed of person to go in and get a high-paying job with benefits and then go to their cubicle or stay home now and work from home to stay home, stay safe, and conjure up ideas and make work projects. And they probably, some of them think that they're helping, but other ones it's just rationalizing their existence so they don't get fired. I wish they would all get fired. Everyone would benefit from a much smaller government, but anyways. And all of these ideas they conjure up and things, it's part of this psychological warfare. Now, a lot of them probably don't intend this, but it is what happens to myself and people that listen to this podcast that I'm throwing out here. So, but I'm going to talk a lot more about that if there's smart people in the system that have read Sun Tzu Art of War and know psychological warfare and are legitimately doing it for reasons, I guess. So the enemy knows that we will not be burnt out unless we are worn out first. So first they have to wear you down, slow and steady, keep you in a state of fight or flight, keep you in a state of chronic stress, right? Just you get past one thing and then you get attacked by another thing, and then there's another thing, and then there's another thing, and we're all in this constant state of stress. So for me, it's both that coming from the system in all different forms and stressed out with, business and other things and current events, but also the stress of having three little kids that don't sleep at night, and I'm lack of sleep, and then I get sicker because of it and catch all these colds. And so I'm in a state of stress, and that's hard on the body. My body's worn down, and then it gets to a burnt out stage, and then you're susceptible to illness, you're susceptible to any sort of attack, whether that's a cold virus or a government virus, right? But this is why the enemy always repeats the following things and attacks you with certain things. There's distraction, disappointment, criticism, betrayal, temptation, persecutions, accusations, and they do it over and over again and frequently to keep you in this fight or flight constant state of stress. One quote from Sun Tzu, The Art of War, is the whole secret lies in confusing the enemy so that he can't fathom their real intent. That's part of it, but the other part of it is keeping the enemy in a constant state of fear and stress and anxiety, and keeping them busy so they don't have time to think, they don't have time to sit down and organize or anything. And that's literally, this is art of war type tactics that we're talking about here. But when you're hit with this new piece of information, it seems almost daily, if not weekly, not even monthly anymore, right? It's just, oh, there's something new that they're either trying to take something away, make you do something, coerce you to do something, get another license, make some sort of change, and constant state of stress. So you're always in this fight or flight mode, but there's 3 stages to the initial, basic fight or flight mode. It's the alarm stage. So during this stage, your nervous system is ramped up, and it's literally preparing your brain, your body, your whole being to either fight or run away. Then there's the resistant stage. So in this stage, the body and your whole self attempts to normalize and recover from that initial attack. So you're in this elevated fight or flight response, and then it's not good or healthy or anything to be in that state for a long period of time. That's a human psychological state. All of our ancestors had that. It was necessary for survival. But you have to have that state, fight or flight, okay, and then make a decision and then try to recover from it. But we keep getting put into that stage. So the final stage is the exhaustion stage. So if the first 2 stages occur repeatedly over time, such as when under chronic stress, different stresses, different attacks, this can cause the body and mind and everything to feel completely worn out, exhausted, and actually begin to break down. Before you burn out, you have to get worn out over time. And when you get worn out and then burnt out, that leaves you susceptible to make mistakes, to give in, to compromise, to not stand up and fight, to not even have the ability or the energy to even flee, so you can be controlled a lot more. But for the fight or flight thing is just the basic 2 F's, I guess, but there's fight or flight, but there's also freeze, flop, and friend are some other F's in this. So when the initial attack or threat is great, your body and mind does certain things. It'll tighten up your muscles and get ready. You get superhuman strength sometimes in that fight or flight mode. Your heart rate will speed up, your breathing will speed up, increases oxygen and the blood going to all your muscles, right? Makes you like a superhero. You'll sweat and perspire if it's a really bad attack right in your face. Deactivate other body functions to put all of the energy into literally fighting or running away. So even digestion, so you're not digesting food and not healthy, or even fighting off colds and your immune system as well. Adrenaline is released. This gives us a lot of energy, like that superhuman type stuff. And you even feel no pain. It'll release cortisol, and this will block your any proper thinking. So in extreme stress and fear and in your face attacks, it can feel like your head is cloudy and that you can't concentrate because all that cortisol, all of your energy is going into this attack. So you don't have time to organize. You're in a constant state of fear. And now it's not good to be in that stressful state for long periods of time, right? So just when you think you're recovering after an attack, right, then there's another one and it puts your body in this the same state again. So when there's an attack right in your face, fight is actually throwing punches, superhuman strength, pushing back, and fighting. It's pretty straightforward. Flight is running away, getting away from the situation, hiding from the situation, backing away from the situation. And this is kind of what I did many years ago. So leaving the system kind of as far as you can. So fleeing, right? Like I have different forms of post-traumatic stress disorder. But I did see the odd thing about something called post-traumatic growth disorder, was it called? But you've experienced such traumatic stress and in multiple different ways. So I've joked that I've called it post-traumatic rental property disorder, or post-traumatic real estate disorder, or just post-traumatic society disorder. And I literally had to leave. So I took flight. I no longer own a property in the city. I pay no property tax on any house in the city. Moved out to a municipality and have one property, concentrated all my stuff in one thing, deal with, humans as little as possible. I prefer dealing with animals and getting closer to nature. And that has helped me recover from a constant state of stress that the system was constantly putting me in. And I am better for it, right? But the stress, and the flight that it required me to do, there's no fighting. There's no person to fight. It's too big and nobody else is there to fight. So you just have to leave. Just leave the system. That's their world. Try to get away of it as far as you can. Flee. And then with that post-traumatic stress, I just worked really hard and I built good things and I had growth from it. So I didn't have PTSD in a sense that I'm just stagnant, but I actually use that PTSD and anxiety, I guess, and constant stress to build things. And as I built things and got further away and owned less and less things in the system and distanced myself, my stress goes away. So I can now be on my land, do what I want, be confident in my speaking, and not be fearful or as fearful, right? But anyway, so that's fighting and flighting. The next one's freezing. So just literally, there's an attack and you just go silent, stay still. You don't know what to do. You're just frozen in your boots, right? And this is a common reaction for a lot of people when there's an attack on them. They don't know what to do. They don't know to fight. They don't know to flee. They're just frozen, solid. So some animals will do this. They will literally freeze to avoid fights. Don't think they can run away fast enough, like a fainting goat, right? If you clap your hands, that goat freezes solid and flops over on its side. That's its defense mechanism, right? But if you own a fainting goat and you're, hey, everybody, let's put this goat in a constant state of fear. Let's clap, 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 clap. Look at, he's falling over. That is not good for the goat, right? to be put in that, feel like there's an attack over and over and over again. Its heart is racing. Its brain is racing. It is not healthy for that animal, just like it's not healthy for a human being to be constantly have these attacks and put in the different stages of things. So that's freezing, like that fainting goat goes tense, but there's also flopping. So it very similar to freezing, but your muscles become loose and your body goes floppy. And if it's a sexual attack or something on a woman, sometimes this is a response that they'd have with rape. They just go loose like they're dead, right? And that is what some people do in that instance. So they don't flee, they don't fight, they don't freeze. They just kind of, nothing I can do about it. So we'll let this whatever thing happen to me. So, and then the next is friend. So you're being attacked, you're calling out for help, right? So somebody please do something, not me. somebody please come help me, but I won't fight back myself. Why isn't somebody fixing this problem? Why is this attack being allowed to happen? Somebody please come help me. Instead of fighting back yourself or leaving the situation yourself, you're calling for help. And that's a survival mechanism as well. Like, please somebody, not me, do the thing. Please somebody, not me, fix the problem. And I'm part of that too. I fled. I didn't really fight. I mean, I kind of, with back when I was political, tried to like convince other people and kind of fight, and then you realize that no, brick wall, full speed through that brick wall, and there's a cliff after that, and it's a 1,000-foot drop, and the car has no brakes, type of thing. So okay, well, I'm gonna leave. Have fun, guys, and go. I'll do my thing, and you do your thing, and let me know how the fall is, I guess. But sometimes these attacks, whether it just be one or two or all of them, you get post-traumatic stress of some kind over that, and sometimes you'll have relapses, and that's why there's a lot of people with chronic anxiety, depression, like anxiety attacks, having nightmares, flashbacks, panic attacks, all that sort of thing. That's literally PTSD from being put in a fight or flight mode in whatever circumstance it is. So I don't care if you were off to war, if you were raped, or if you're just sensitive to society attacking you and have the ability to think past the consequences of a few actions to see further in the future than other people and be stressed out about it as well. But constantly being attacked puts you in this state. And if it's bad enough attack, if you were scammed, if society did something really bad to you, if they constantly push you, you do get like post-traumatic stress from it. But then there's more attacks, and you get put in the fight or flight thing, and then you get think about previous attacks, and good stuff. So my advice is to take the flight route calmly, at peace, and just leave and try to live closer to nature. I keep harping on that, but leave the screwed up thing as far as you can get. You're still going to have to participate in certain ways. You can only get so far away from the bull crap, but be a preparedness-minded, personally responsible person that lives closer to nature, and this will help you in the psychological warfare. So some of these attacks, just general attacks, I'm not talking like things that you've seen in war, really bad stuff, or getting raped or physically assaulted, but the psychological, slow-going warfare of little attacks, boom, 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 one after the another, daily, weekly basis. It just eats away at you, wears you down, and eventually burns you out, where you're not much of a threat anymore. And I think that's what they want. And part of it, again, is just stupid people not realizing what they're doing to some people. And again, if you're listening to this podcast, you're kind of like me and you may be understanding, but a lot of people don't know what I'm talking about. They don't know what attacks that I'm talking about. They're like, no, carbon tax is good. Let's tax the plant food. And I'm like, well, that creates inflation, and then that means we can't manufacture things here, so you're actually hurting the environment more because we have to outsource more products, and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, no, it doesn't. Carbon bad, right? Like the majority of people. And with the clot shot there as well. So, yeah, stay home, stay safe, wear your mask. Like those surgical masks are used by surgeons to protect the patient from it. Anyways, it doesn't really do anything for airborne anythings. Blah, blah. I won't get into this too much, but you've all experienced the last 3 years, and most people experienced it. Like, how are these people not getting vaccinated? It's their fault. Blah, blah, blah. Like, listen to the experts, trust the science and the big government, right? So most people don't even know that this is an attack still. But anyways, taking the guns away. So, okay, well, when I got my handgun license when I was essentially an adult many years ago. Okay, well, if you get a handgun, you have to register it with big government. So that's me, like, just knowing, okay, this is registered with big government. So eventually they're going to take it away. Like, young Dean knew that. So, okay, understandable, right? But then, so you get hit with this. Oh, now we're taking the handguns away, so I can't pass down things, and my boys can't experience the freedom of firearm ownership and sport shooting and whatever. In the future, the handguns essentially are supposed to die with me. The government takes them back and confiscates them and welds them shut, and maybe the boys get it back as a wall hanger, so they can look at that gun. Oh, look, Dad let that happen and didn't do anything. Just like how I kind of blame the boomers for some things, but yeah. Oh yeah, how did you guys let that happen? My boys are gonna say, but anyways, and then. So you're in this, you get attacked, so you have to make some changes if you're a restricted firearms owner, right? So, and you have to do it speedily over the summer. So change ownership to the younger person if it's a family heirloom, whatever. What a pain in the butt, waste of my time, distraction, keeping me from doing other things. In just a state of stress they put you in, and then okay, we got that solved. So they took away that liberty, or trying to, and then not even a month later, it's like, oh, not just the handguns, we're going to take away essentially all guns, like almost all guns, hunting guns, like 5-shot repeater guns, some 22s. It's what. Just a constant attack, never ending state of stuff, like, and that's just like 2 little topics, right? And it's, anyways, but the things that they'll do, just for as a broad thing, and you can think about this, is distraction. So they're distracting you with, you could be doing something productive or something, and they keep distracting you with some other stupid thing, right? Disappointments. So you could have had high hopes for something, and then they turn around, and constant disappointments in the system. Criticism. So you got all of society, criticizing what you're doing, I guess. So you're trying to do something that you perceive as good, and then they criticize you for whatever, not taking the clot shot or whatever. Betrayal, you could feel betrayed. Like, I voted for, like, in my province, I guess. Well, I voted for the current party, right? They're just left to center, but they're not complete communists, I guess. So you vote for the lesser evil, and unfortunately, that lesser evil, they like increase taxes and increase spending sometimes, and yep, you're completely betrayed. I voted for you guys to prevent you from expanding government and increasing taxes, and I want you to cut government and things. Also, like Donald Trump, like, I was excited for Donald Trump, the candidate, and gave him the benefit of doubt for maybe the first 6 months to a year into his presidency, and then after he essentially made the swamp bigger instead of draining it, and didn't really do anything, expanded the debt load and things. I felt betrayed, and I'm Canadian, right? Like, I was really excited. If I was in the U.S., I would have voted for Trump at that time. Really excited for things, and then, even him, the system's so far gone, he couldn't even do anything, or whatever. It was all maybe lies. Like, who knows? But you get betrayed. You get tempted. They'll tempt you with things. Well, if you just get the clot shot, we'll give you a coupon for a free burger. If you just get the shot, you can travel again, right? It's not mandatory. You have to freely give up your arm. And essentially, like, if you're unvaccinated, so now we can talk about this, and it's something that we can kind of talk about, and they're calling for amnesty, that the things that they put the unvaccinated people through were incredible. Now, it was never mandatory, but they made life absolutely miserable for many years, a state of stress, and tempting you to give in. And eventually they wore most people down and got it. And now all the best, but whatever. Like, who knows? I don't trust the science. Science is a constantly moving thing. So I can hear, well, there's suppressed information. Whenever somebody suppresses information, that's probably the information that's correct. I've just noticed that. Maybe you have too. But anyways, lots of people that tried to hold out, they got, it was never mandatory, but they pushed you and tempted you with different things. And you can travel now. You can get a free burger. You can do this if you only give up your arm, right? And there you go. So persecution. So persecuting. Well, we got the vaccine and 5 boosters, and then when we got COVID, it's because the unvaccinated people that don't have myocarditis and severe symptoms when getting COVID, but it's the unvaccinated. Let's hang them up on the cross and stone them in public, right? That's what the majority of people and the system thinks. It's just insane. And accusations kind of goes in the same with that. But yeah, those are a few ways that the psychological warfare is, we're going to give you something if you just take a knee. We're going to take this away if you don't do that. Oh, you have to do this. It's completely meaningless, but you have to do this and things. And it's just, for me, it's very sensitive to things, because I understand natural law and I value freedom, and personal responsibility is very high to me, and maybe my IQ has something to do with it as well, or whatever. For some reason, people can't see steps into the future, right? Like, I wonder if we shut down, if we print a bunch of money and literally hand it out to people while shutting down all businesses and shipping. If we increase demand exponentially, like a huge amount, and hinder supply in a huge way, what do you think's going to happen? Super high prices, maybe? Like, that's not inflation, that's government meddling and creating high prices. But there's inflation on top of that that's at the root of things. So, like, inflation is caused by the supply chain issues. Supply chain, blah, blah, blah. That was a talking point. And no, that created like temporary shortages because you printed a bunch of money and gave it to people that wanted to buy exercise equipment and hot tubs and skidoos and build a deck on their house when they were staying home, staying safe, getting a full paycheck as well. And that creates distortions in the market and things. But eventually the supply chain will go back to things when government stops meddling with things and the free market's allowed to fix it. So overseas shipping went up 1,400% during that time. And now that the stimmy checks stopped, essentially, and people are going to have to go back to their jobs. Oh no, that's terrible. And the meme stocks, the crypto bubble, the overpriced tech stocks and things are coming down. Prices of things that were in a bubble, not just inflation, are coming down, and shipping's almost back to normal because like supply demand, the free market's kind of working on that. Now it's still being manipulated. Everything's manipulated by central planners, essentially. Anyways, I'm getting a little off topic. So if you're wondering why you're stressed out, tired, worn out, even burnt out, if you're wondering why you're frozen, you've been thinking about buying a piece of property, or you've been thinking about building a barn, or you've been thinking about building a greenhouse, but you're stuck in paralysis, it's because of the psychological warfare, and you're literally in this fight or flight mode, or freeze, or the other F's as well. So you're frozen there. And maybe there's other rules or other things that are preventing you from doing some things that you think you should be doing. And those things that are preventing you are also other attacks, and it puts you in more of a state of stress and anxiety. But don't worry now, the government of Canada can help you with your suicide, with assisted suicide, literally euthanasia, because socialized healthcare system. So, anybody with a brain or any sort of knowledge of history and economics and capitalism and communism and all the different systems and fascism and welfare and fiat currencies and things knows that socialized healthcare is shit. Doesn't work. So it ends up being free but super expensive and really, really crappy, to the point where they're introducing, well, and you know what, instead of fixing your knee and you being sad that you have knee pain, like, we can help you end it if you like, just sign here, right? Or whatever. So just attack. So what do you do about it? So it's tough. It's really tough, but you have to get right in your head. You have to practice meditation. You have to practice, one thing I do to relax my mind is I work harder. So there's no time for me to sit and think sometimes. So if I throw myself into building something or a project, like I started and built the entire greenhouse during the 2 weeks to flatten the curve, right? It took me, according to the government, 2 weeks to flatten the curve. That took me 2 weeks to build a greenhouse. So, raising my children and living off the land and making things better for myself, my family, everyone around me, and throwing myself into a big project like that, and I'm distracting myself, which is a form of meditation. I have trouble sitting there and clearing my mind, but I'm working on it, like clearing my entire ego and meditating like a monk can do. But that's something I'm working on. That's something you have to do. But sometimes when you recognize the psychological warfare that's coming at you, sometimes that is probably helpful. That has helped me a lot. Another thing is distancing yourself, as far as you can stand or manage or whatever from the constant attacks, right? So I always say, leave the cities. The cities are an insidious, really crappy place. Speaking of cities and crap, I had to go to downtown to set up a trial date for a traffic policy violation that a policy officer gave me a $580 ticket, and it's kind of his word against mine. I pleaded innocence, got a trial date. Anyways, so on the ticket, he sent me to the wrong address, and then the court changed, so I had to plug 2 parking meters. But I go into the city, and it's bicycle lanes, and when it's minus 30 outside, terrible. But found a place to park in front of this government building that's just beautiful glass, everything. Pull into a parking spot. There was lots of spots available, and I see this person look like they were sitting in front of this glass building, about 10 feet in front of my car, in front of the sidewalk. And no, it was a woman having a shit on the street in the city. And it's like, well, yes, yeah, that's the city. I'm in the heart of the problem. All right, downtown in a city is the worst possible place you can be. And these things affect me. And then I think about this person pooping in the street, and it's just absolute. Anyways, another tangent. Get out of the city. Get out of there. That's not a good place to be. That is a terrible place to be. Move away. Try to. Maybe it's a small town. Maybe it's an acreage. Maybe it's a full-blown farm. Maybe it's a piece of land and you do an off-grid property if you can swing it or have the building capabilities to build things yourself. But you get away, and it's a good thing. Rental properties aren't what they used to be. Mid and lower end rental properties, there's so many houses boarded up, and there's a lot of homeless people. Now, what the problem is the free market, the landlord and property owner that owns that house, they fix it up so it's livable, and then have a tenant in that's paid by the system, and then the tenant destroys it, and then the landlord fixes it, and then it's destroyed, and it gets to the point where they just board up these houses and don't rent them anymore. So now there's a shortage of rental housing because the populace and system essentially wrecked it. So now there's a big homeless problem, but there's a lot of vacant houses, and it's because the people that get all the welfare. Anyways, oh my God. Don't have rental properties. I mean, if it's a high end one or a little specific market or Airbnb, but on the higher end, maybe. But oh my God, my post traumatic landlord disorder or real estate disorder, it is something else. So don't laugh. I mean, I wouldn't want some of the experiences I had to go through to be on anybody, but whatever. If that's your business, consider getting out of that business or something like I did. I'm perfectly happy out on my land. Going to build a barn. I built the greenhouse, building up soil, going to build a pond. I'm perfectly happy having high intelligent conversations with pigs and goats and talking and conversing with them and dealing with people and regulations as little as possible, selling meat and vegetables and fish and fruit and things without any processing that requires licensing, direct to customers for a great price so the customer's happy. I can see them in person and I don't have all these bills, barcode licenses and all these licenses with the food product. Another one of the things, like when you talk about all these attacks, it's like I have a food product in Canada. So it's funny, people ask, well, what's the vitamin C in your smoothies? Like, shouldn't that be on the nutrition label? I was like, no, so somebody in the government system decided it was a great idea to take all the vitamins off of the nutrition charts, like mandatory, take the vitamins off. Okay. And instead, you put on the bottom of the nutrition chart in Canada, 5% is a little, 15% or more is a lot in French and English. It takes up a lot of real estate on a package and nutrition chart. I could have been telling you that our berry smoothie is 160% of your daily vitamin C and things like that. But no, I have to tell you 5% or less is a little and 15% or more is a lot in French and English. Now, I asked somebody at the Canada Food Inspection Agency a long time ago about this. I said, like, what is this? I would like to put vitamins, and I would also like to do it like the USA nutrition charts where it separates natural sugars and artificial sugars. So in the United States, our nutrition chart is 0% of your daily sugar because it comes from 100% whole fruit. And in Canada, they make you add it together. So it looks like ours is high in sugar. So then I'll have a diabetic saying, well, sugar is not good for diabetics. And I say, well, do whatever you want, do your own research, do what your doctor tells you, but it's, fruit and vegetable reduces your blood sugar over time. Again, I can't make claims, so don't listen to me now too, but anyway, I told this Canada Food Inspection Agency guy, says, well, it says here like 5% or less is a little and 15% more is a lot. Is it okay if I add that 20% is more than 15 and 4% is less than 5? Is that okay? That makes about as much sense as this mandatory nutrition chart that some idiot bureaucrat made somebody like me stress out and have to change, and they're stupid. Oh man, it's so dumb, right? And like printing plates to get packages made and shit, and then now the latest change is that I had to make for my packages to be Canada compliant was I needed the ingredients in black type on white background because I had it black background on white, and somebody had the bright idea that this is one of the most important things, and I'm sure they spent millions of dollars of taxpayers' monies on really expensive luncheon meetings and things over the courses of long periods of time with a lot of bureaucrats to figure this out. And these are actual attacks. So not only it makes me waste my time and money, which makes the product more expensive, but it makes it stupider. A lot of these things makes things stupider. So now we have a really dumb nutrition chart in Canada. Anyways, so you can't fully get away from everything, but do the best you can. And I'm to the point where, you know what, if it gets any dumber or the inflation is too high, it's just too expensive that my sales go down enough, I'm actually kind of excited. I'm just done with the freeze-dried food Canada compliant product. That would reduce massive amounts of bills and licenses and things that I have to do on an annual basis. That's a pain in my butt, takes a bunch of time. I'm perfectly fine talking to my goats and chickens and selling people eggs and goat meat in person. I'm perfectly fine. Like, in fact, I would probably live longer if that's all I did for the rest of my days. Let me know if that made sense to you. Let me know if you think that's going to be helpful information for you. Let me know if you have any ideas to, reduce the attacks or ignore the attacks or reduce your stress and anxiety, or if you've had the same experience as I do. No, I used to, maybe you've had a big corporate job and you're like, no, this is all a stupid thing and I have to leave and I'm going to buy a little cabin in the woods, go off grid and live very happily compared to a big corporate life in a big city or something. And one other thing you could do is shut off the damn TV. The mainstream news, I'll put it on or watch some clips on YouTube that just give you the Canadian broadcasting mainstream news things every 2 months, not more than that, every 2 months to see what the society's talking about. And I watch it and it makes me laugh more now. Like, you get to a point where you don't get too stressed. It makes you laugh when you put yourself in a position away from the stupidity. It makes you laugh and silly and a little bit sad that it's happening, but also laughing that people go along with this and actually believe some of these things. But it also sometimes will be very stressful to watch that 15 minutes of news or half an hour of news every 2 months. So turn that off. You still have to follow in general little hit points what's going on, but don't waste your time. It's called television programming for a reason. They're programming you like Sun Tzu, Art of War, wearing you down until you get completely burnt out, and then you'll do whatever the heck you're told. Thanks again for listening, and who knows what we're going to talk about next time. I got a whole bunch of topics on the whiteboard, and I have to be careful. I kind of know they always move the goalposts around, so we can talk about the whole COVID thing now, and they're asking for amnesty and stuff, and the goalpost moved, right? So I'm gonna kick a whole home run or something, but then they'll move the goalpost, and I kind of gotta watch. But anyways, thanks again for listening. We'll talk to you next time.